This is the first of two videos that will help us transition from learning about any pair of figures that might be similar to learning about similar triangles. So in review, first of all, for two polygons to be similar, they must meet two conditions. The first condition is all of the corresponding angles must be congruent. So we have a picture of two quadrilaterals, and if we compare their corresponding angles, we can see from the picture that all four pairs of corresponding angles are congruent, so this pair of quadrilaterals meets the first condition. The second condition is that all of the corresponding side ratios must be equivalent. So if we look at the side names, we can form four ratios or four fractions that look like the ones here. If I replace the names with the measure of each side, the fractions would look like this. And if we reduce those, they all reduce to 3/2. So the scale factor of these two similar quadrilaterals is 3/2. They are considered similar because they meet both of the conditions mentioned here. Now we're going to learn about triangles, and we're working towards learning trigonometry. So first, we're going to review a couple of things that are important about triangles. The three interior angles of a triangle must always have a sum of 180 degrees. We're going to use that quite a bit. If we have a pair of triangles and they form a bow tie, we will always have one pair of congruent angles. Those are the vertical angles in the picture. And finally, we need to review some things about parallel lines and how that's going to relate to triangles. So if we have a pair of parallel lines intersected by a third line, that third line is called a transversal, and it forms four pairs of angles that are congruent. The first pair that we're going to look at is below the parallel lines and to the left of the transversal. Those are called corresponding angles, and they are always congruent. The second pair is above the pair of parallel lines and to the left of the transversal. Those are corresponding angles, and they are congruent. The third pair of angles that we're going to look at are below the parallel lines and to the right of the transversal. Those are corresponding angles, and they are congruent. And the final pair are above the parallel lines and to the right of the transversal, and those are congruent corresponding angles. If we add a second transversal, the same pairs of angles are formed. We have a pair that's below and to the left, and those are congruent. We have a pair that's above and to the left, and those are congruent. We have a pair that's below and to the right, and those are congruent. And we have a pair that is above and to the right, and those are congruent. So how does that relate to triangles? Well, in our picture, we have at least one triangle that looks like this, and we could draw a second triangle that looks like that. And so we'll be learning about whether or not the yellow triangle and the pink triangle are similar triangles. So next, that angle is above and to the right. That angle is above and to the right, and so those are congruent angles. This angle is above and to the left, and this angle is above and to the left, so those are congruent angles. So when we take these overlapping triangles and draw them so that they're not overlapping, the yellow triangle would look like this, and the pink triangle would look like this. Finally, when it comes to this picture, we know that these three angles have to add up to 180 degrees, and so do these three. And so if we take 180 and subtract this angle and this angle, we'll get the same answer as if we take 180 and subtract this angle and this angle. So whenever you have a picture of triangles that looks like this, you will always have a pair of triangles where all three pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So after you're done watching this video, you want to watch the second part of the video because there will be three examples from the homework for you to look at.